Most gardeners see pests and reach for a spray. But long before pesticides existed, growers protected their crops with plants, not just for food or beauty, but as natural defenders that repel pests, attract beneficial insects, and protect nearby vegetables. Modern research is now confirming what generations of growers already knew. Today, we're looking at 7 powerful pest-fighting plants. And stick around for number 5. It's a plant that may do more than repel pests. It may also help disrupt their breeding activity. Number 1 is marigolds. Most people plant marigolds because they look cheerful, but older gardeners knew they were doing something much more important. For generations, farmers planted marigolds around vegetable gardens because they noticed fewer pest problems wherever these flowers grew. Today, modern research is helping explain why. Marigolds protect a garden both above the soil and below it. Underground, their roots release natural compounds that are harmful to root knot nematodes. These tiny pests attack plant roots and weaken vegetables from below, often before gardeners even realize there is a problem. This is why marigolds are especially useful around tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers. The best place to use them is along the edges of vegetable beds. Plant them in a continuous border around your crops. Think of them as a living protective fence. Above ground, marigolds release a strong scent that many insects dislike. Whiteflies, aphids, and thrips often struggle to find their favorite plants when marigolds are nearby. At the same time, the flowers attract helpful insects like ladybugs and hoverflies, which feed on common garden pests. And there is one more benefit. Some insects are drawn to marigolds instead of your vegetables. When planted around the outer edges of the garden, they can act like a distraction, pulling pests away from the crops you actually want to protect. A simple flower, but a surprisingly smart garden defender. Next comes basil. Few plants work harder in the garden than this familiar herb. Its secret is its strong fragrance. Basil leaves contain natural oils that create a scent many insects find confusing and unpleasant. Aphids, thrips, whiteflies, and even tomato hornworm moths often avoid areas where basil is growing. This is why one of the oldest companion planting combinations is basil and tomatoes. The best way to use basil is to plant it directly between tomato plants. You can also place it near peppers, eggplants, cucumbers, and squash. The closer it is to the vegetables, the better it works. But basil does more than repel pests. Its flowers attract beneficial insects, including tiny parasitic wasps that help control destructive caterpillars before they become a serious problem. For the strongest protection, pinch off flower buds during the growing season so the plant keeps producing fresh leaves and aromatic oils. A few basil plants tucked between your vegetables can quietly help create a garden that is healthier, more balanced, and far less inviting to pests. Number 3 is lavender. Most people know lavender for its beautiful scent, but long before it was used in perfumes, soaps, and linen closets, gardeners noticed something interesting. Insects often stayed away from places where lavender was growing. Today, researchers believe its strong natural oils are the reason why. Lavender produces compounds that many pests find unpleasant and confusing. Mosquitoes, moths, whiteflies, flies, and even fleas tend to avoid it. But unlike chemical sprays, lavender does not create a dead zone in the garden. Instead, it helps create balance. While harmful insects stay away, beneficial insects move in. Bees, lacewings, and tiny parasitic wasps are all attracted to its flowers. That means more pollination and more natural pest control happening at the same time. The best place to grow lavender is along sunny garden borders. Think of it as a protective wall around your growing area. You can also plant it near vegetables that often suffer from whiteflies, such as tomatoes and cabbage. And when the flowers are harvested and dried, they continue working. For centuries, people placed dried lavender near windows, doors, and stored fabrics to keep moths and insects away. A beautiful plant on the surface, a quiet garden guardian underneath. Number 4 is Nasturtiums, and this one works very differently. Instead of pushing pests away, it invites them in. That might sound like a terrible idea, but traditional gardeners understood something important. Sometimes the smartest way to protect your crops is to give pests an easier target. Nasturtiums are what gardeners call a trap crop, a sacrificial plant. Aphids, whiteflies, cabbage worms, and several other pests often choose nasturtiums before they choose your vegetables. That means your broccoli, kale, cabbage, and other valuable crops get left alone. The best way to use nasturtiums is around the outside of vegetable beds or mixed directly among brassica crops. Let the pests gather on the nasturtiums instead. At the same time, their peppery scent helps confuse other insects looking for nearby vegetables, and their bright flowers attract ladybugs, hoverflies, lacewings, and beneficial wasps. These helpful insects stay in the garden and feed on many of the pests causing problems. So nasturtiums do 3 jobs at once. They attract pests, they distract pests, and they bring in the insects that hunt pests. Few plants work harder than that. Number 5 is lemongrass. This is the plant I mentioned earlier, the one that caught researchers' attention because it does more than simply chase pests away. Local farmers in parts of Southeast Asia have been growing lemongrass beside food crops for centuries. They noticed something unusual. Areas planted with lemongrass often had fewer pest problems year after year. Today, we know that its strong citrus oils play a big role. Lemongrass releases natural compounds that confuse insects and make it harder for them to find the plants they want to attack. Whiteflies, aphids, spider mites, and many flying insects tend to avoid it. But what makes lemongrass especially interesting is that these compounds can also reduce feeding and breeding activity in certain soft-bodied pests. In other words, the plant does not just tell pests to leave, it can make it harder for their populations to grow. The best way to use lemongrass is as a protective barrier. Plant it around vegetable beds or grow it in large containers near crops that often suffer from pest attacks. You can also place it near patios, pathways, and garden entrances where its scent can spread through the air. Every time the leaves move in the wind, they release more of the oils that make this plant so valuable. A simple grass on the surface, a surprisingly advanced defense system underneath. Number 6 is stinging nettle. And this one surprises almost everyone. Most gardeners see it and immediately pull it out, but older growers often left a small patch of nettles on purpose, not in the middle of the garden, at the edge, far enough away to stay controlled but close enough to do its job. Stinging nettle is what gardeners call a banker plant. Instead of directly protecting vegetables, it supports the insects that do. Aphids are naturally attracted to nettles. That sounds bad at first, but those aphids attract ladybugs, hoverflies, lacewings, and parasitic wasps. Soon, the helpful insects move into the area and begin hunting pests throughout the garden. The result is a stronger natural defense system. The best place for nettles is a controlled patch at the edge of your property or near a wild corner of the garden. Think of it as a training ground for your garden's army of beneficial insects. And finally, number 7 is rosemary. If there is one plant that deserves a permanent place in a garden, this may be it. For generations, gardeners planted rosemary near vegetables because they noticed fewer pest problems wherever it grew. Modern research suggests its strong aromatic oils help explain why. Rosemary can help discourage cabbage moths, bean beetles, carrot flies, aphids, whiteflies, thrips, spider mites, and other common pests. Its scent masks nearby crops and makes them harder for insects to locate. The best way to use rosemary is to plant it permanently near vulnerable crops. Place it beside cabbage, carrots, beans, peas, and leafy greens. Many gardeners also plant rosemary at the corners of raised beds so its protection spreads across the entire growing area. Because rosemary is a long-lived plant, it works year after year with very little effort. Just plant it once and let it become part of your garden's defense system. A fragrant herb, a useful kitchen ingredient, and one of the most dependable garden protectors you can grow. So look at your garden, not the pests, but the space between your plants, because that's where real protection begins.